If you're tuning into this, you are tuning into episode 1 of my new videocast series called Booksmart Equestrian. I've decided, after keeping a blog really faithfully for 5 years straight and going into my 6th year, that I should try to get better and do something different and shake things up. So I decided that I was going to have a Monday videocast each week that's called Equine Travels with Laura. That could be about anything related to horses and what I'm thinking and feeling and learning. And that Friday's episode would be about books I'm reading, either books I'm reading for fun in general that are not even about horses, but most probably always about horses, or pretty much always, nearly always about horses. So that's the plan. I'm a little bit nervous. Hopefully I'll get better at this, but this is my very first one, so you'll have to kind of give me a break. If you've checked into my blog at all, you know that my blog is about adventures in my life, but mostly adventures around my animals. I'm a family sociologist and a family demographer, and I'm really interested in populations. I know this sounds kind of like I'm intellectualizing, but that's what academics do. And that one of the things I feel really passionate about is how humans and animals kind of interact and are with each other. And so I decided to put my emotional and intellectual energy in keeping a blog that's kind of a diary, and that's what this is about. So this section, since I like to read a lot, is going to be talking to you about all sorts of different kinds of books. And so here's just kind of a few of the books that I have. There's some more that I keep out at the barn. And at the barn I keep a book on how to do acupressure on horses and how to do stretching exercises and how to do massage, and a couple ground pole exercise books. So I've got like 4 or 5 books out there that are really hands-on ones. I didn't bring them up, but downstairs I've got a few veterinarian manuals that are pretty old now. There's so many different kinds of advances being made, but stuff that can just kind of give me a little help with poulticing and stuff like that. And then, of course, because of Steve Jobs and iPads and all sorts of other things, iBooks, I have lots of books on my iPad too, and I'll be talking about those. But anyway, what you'll be getting from the series is my opinions about what books are good about horse care, what books cover health and well-being really well, what books I think are really good for helping you improve your riding and to think better about your riding, and then fun books too. And so, for example, you can see as you look around here, I've pulled a book called Sire Lines. And I bought this when I was at Paris, Kentucky once on a visit. I went into Quillen's tack shop and I saw it and I had to have it because Violet is a thoroughbred, my beautiful Velvet Tenderness. And I just love researching her pedigree. So this seemed like a fun book to own, to kind of look up the different stories about her family members. It makes me very proud. Another one is down here I have Rennie's mama's side of the family, Doc's on Speckled Rock. It's called Legends, and it's about Western horses. And I got this one when I was at Lexington, Kentucky, at the Kentucky Gold Classic horse auction. And the reason I got it is because it had a story about EasyJet. And that's like the great-grandsire of my sport pony. He's a really famous quarter horse, racing quarter horse. So I liked having that one. I've got 2 books that I think are really useful and helpful. One of which I'm going to talk to you about today. This is the Complete Guide to Hunter Seat Training, Showing, and Judging, and I've been using this, I've just been reading this and trying to channel it, believe me. And then this one, which is a hoot, Successful Schooling, Train Your Horse with Empathy. It's by Karen Blignot, who is a South African rider, and it is absolutely not what the title sounds like. And so when I first read this, it kind of just revolutionized my thinking about what I was doing in riding. And it gave stone-cold practical advice. So even though I've read it once, I'm planning this year on rereading it again and share it with you. Okay, so there's those books. I'm also going to be talking to you about fun books, like I said. And so I might talk to you about Jane Smiley's A Good Horse, which is this children's book that I really, really liked. And of course her book, Horse Heaven. I will talk to you for sure in later weeks about True Grit and about horses in True Grit. One of my favorite books and favorite movies. Black Beauty, of course, and then Blaze. I'm giving the Blaze series to my little nephew who's 2 years old and loves being a cowboy, so I'll be talking to you about the Blaze series. I can't remember the name of the series right now, but there's this beautiful series of books for children that are about Native Americans and their feelings about horses and animals. So I'll make sure I find that out and talk to you about it. And then, of course, I'll be talking about a series of books that I bought on eBay. But when I was in Canada as a child, I used to love to go to the bookstore and use my, what do they call that, what your parents give you? Use my allowance, sorry. Use my allowance to buy horse books. And I came upon Ruby Ferguson's Jill Has Two Pony series, and I loved them. It follows her throughout her whole life, when she first gets Black Boy, when she gets Repeat, her second pony, and at the end of the series she's running a school, a little lesson school with her friend. It's truly just a really sweet series, and so I ended up getting those books on eBay, so I know I'll talk to you about this series. So that's what this is about. So anyway, today, what am I going to talk to you about today? Again, a book that I just picked up at Wildwood Tack Shop. The Complete Guide to Hunter Seat Training, Showing, and Judging on the Flat and Over Fences by Anna Jane White Mullen. It is really very helpful. I'm a beginning rider, kind of beginning to jumping anyway, and so I have really good instructor. Her name is Stacy, and so she knows everything about how to use ground poles, how to use cavaletti, how to use gymnastics, how to set up lines, how to get your horse to halt on lines, after lines, how to set up a course, how to think about jumping and developing your horse. And that's good because I don't know any of that. So I got this book because I thought I should learn more. I'm jumping more, and I've got this 8-year-old thoroughbred who's really loving it. And then I've got this little 3-year-old pony that we're trying to train, and he's just remarkable. And why shouldn't he be? His sire line is truly decked out with the best hunting, jumping pony lines, you know, ever, really, basically. So, this book, even in the first 2 chapters, it helped me a lot. I've been having a little bit of trouble getting nervous, pretty garden variety problems, that I would lean forward and stand in the stirrups a little too much and be too heavy on the mouth, and I'd refuse to relax, and you know, I just wasn't being a very effective rider. And so this book kind of talked about, you know, how to think about indirect and direct reining, and bearing reins and opening reins, and where to put your legs, and how to develop shoulders in and shoulders out, and haunches in and out, and turns on the forehand and turns on the haunches. And this book kind of came into my life right when New Year's came. And so I had spent, this ridiculous amount of time one afternoon making a New Year's resolution list for Rennie and Violet. And then I got out to the barn and I had a starchy little ride with Violet. And I realized that Violet was trying to tell me that I should make a New Year's resolution list for myself. And so with this book, in the first 2 chapters, I realized that my New Year's resolution was going to be to sit tall, shoulders open, elbows soft, and heels down. So I went back and had a lesson this week with Violet with that in mind. And for the entire lesson, I chanted that. Round and round the arena, I would say, sit tall, shoulders open, elbows soft, heels down. Sit tall, shoulders open, soft, heels down. And I kind of did it at the pace and the tempo of Violet, and it changed the whole dynamic. I started out the lesson on a long rein and let her pick the directions and relax, and I didn't punish her by the gates. And I made sure I used my leg and seat to ask for the upwards before using hands. I made sure that I listened to her negotiations and tried to use only just enough rein to have contact with her, and really meaningful contact, but without trying to pull her into a tight frame or a collected or short frame. I let her have a nice long frame. I wanted her to be in my hands, but not pushing it. And her mood was so improved, and we had a blast. We had a total blast. And we ended up doing a little gymnastic where at first we went through a series of ground poles with our hands out, without reins, and Violet was just moving loose and happy. And then we did a jumping one, 2 jumps with a ground pole going in, a ground pole in the middle, and a ground pole going out. And man, I felt like Kate Winslet in the movie Titanic. I just could throw my arms out there, lean forward, and I felt terrific. And Violet felt confident and happy, and afterwards she'd be walking long and loose like a thoroughbred on a long rein. And it was terrific. So anyway, and that was just on the first 2 chapters. So today I've gotten through chapter 3 and 4 that are more about how to think through the different United States Equestrian Federation tests that might be asked on the flat. And then also, Chapter 4 is about how to design courses and how to think about developing courses. So that was good. So anyway, that's all I have for this week. If you have a chance, I encourage you to read this book along with taking lessons. I can tell you that next week, I'll finally give you my entire punchline about what this whole book is about, because I'll have finished it by then. So next week will be about this again. And then the following week, I'm going to talk to you about True Grit and about the 3 horses for the Texas Ranger, the U.S. Marshal, and Maddie Ross, Little Blackie, of course, if you've seen or read the book. The horses are really integral to the plot. The horses are really important to the action. The horses have a moral character, and so I'm looking forward to telling you about this book. I encourage you to read it. And that's all we have. I hope you turn in next week.